Hello, Synacor family. This is Kelly Webb from Synacor Human Resources. This is our kickoff webinar for the LEAD program for the 2017 calendar year. And as you can see on the screen, LEAD stands for Leadership, Engagement, Accountability, and Development. I am going to be talking fairly quickly because we have a lot of information to get through, and I'd like to make this video as short as possible for you. So let's dive right in to get started. Approximately 5 years ago, we started researching best practices for mentoring and leadership development, and we used that information to put together a program that is specific to Synacor. So if you look at the definition of mentoring, it's to support and encourage people to manage their own learning in order that they may maximize their potential and become the person they want to be. So let's look a little bit more about mentoring programs and some of the details behind it. Mentoring is a developmental partnership. The mentor shares knowledge, skills, information, and perspective to support the personal and professional growth of the mentee. It's a powerful tool supporting leadership development and ultimately helps further Synacor's mission to grow and serve our clients. At the end of every decision that we make should always be Synacor's mission to serve our clients, and that's why we are putting this together, why we originally put the leadership development program together, because we knew we were growing, we knew we would need more successful leaders to help support that growth. A mentor is a guide who can help the mentee find the right direction and can help develop solutions to issues. Mentors rely on their skills and experience to help the mentee, not a ton of specialized training. It's the experiences that you bring to the table and your perspective of the foundation in Synacor's culture to help inform the mentee. Mentoring is about risk, vulnerability, and trust, and we'll be talking about that a little bit more throughout the presentation. And the success of a mentoring relationship depends to a large degree upon your attitude and your commitment. And this is both the attitude and commitment of the mentor and the mentee. Formal mentoring programs have a beginning and an end. Ours officially starts on February 1st, 2017 and ends December 31st, 2017. Have a formal matching process. This took place at November ELC meeting. We matched mentor strengths to the potential mentee developmental needs based on the worksheet that was filled out, the application, of what each mentee said that how they wanted to grow, as well as some potential for reverse mentoring. And we always do the matching across locations to get that different perspective and facilitate cross communication across locations. A formal mentoring program has structured goals for the mentee, so goal sheets are sent after the completion of this webinar for the mentee to fill out with the assistance of their supervisor or facility director and the mentor. So you're going to be doing this kind of as a group effort, but ultimately it's the goals that you want to set for yourself with some direction from your mentee and your supervisor, or mentor and your supervisor. Have scheduled meeting times between the mentor and mentee. The mentee will schedule at least 2 hours per month with their mentor using Microsoft Outlook Calendar. Mentees will need to discuss in advance how this time will be structured. Will it be 30 minutes per hour, 1 hour every other week? And then you will set a recurring calendar appointment, and it is the responsibility of the mentee to send that calendar appointment and always pick up the phone and make the phone call. So again, the mentee is the driver for this process. Have documented checkpoints. We'll have 60-day follow-up form to help ensure progress throughout the year, and then a final evaluation at year end. And then have a method for no-fault termination. If the mentorship is not working for any reason, either the mentor or mentee can contact HR to request a no-fault termination and reassignment. So what are the benefits? For the mentors, you have the opportunity to develop or improve interpersonal leadership and coaching skills, satisfaction of passing on knowledge, skills, and experience to others, reverse mentoring as you learn about other positions, departments, or locations, increased visibility within the foundation, an opportunity to give back to the industry by assisting in the development of upcoming leaders in the foundation, and an opportunity to expand your network and improve communication across facilities. For mentees, you gain insight into the experience of into the perspective of more experienced staff. Tier 2 or Tier 3 or senior management or executive management mentors should have a more global perspective and more experience, and so they should be able to share that with you through your mentoring sessions. You should be able to improve your work performance by shortening the learning curve, developing or improving leadership strengths and characteristics, learning new professional and technical skills, receiving valuable career advice, and gaining access to a larger network of contacts. You'll also receive personal support from your mentor, which we'll talk about again in another slide, as well as gain a broader view of challenges facing the foundation. So mentor roles and responsibilities. The mentor role would be viewed as a role model, trusted coach, sponsor, or advisor. Responsibilities include being available as scheduled. Give the mentee your undivided attention during the time that you have scheduled. So block it off on your calendar. The recurring appointment should be set. Shut down your email. Put your phone on Do Not Disturb. Put a note up on your door. Whatever you need to do to schedule to avoid interruptions, make sure it happens so you can give the mentee your attention. That's what your mentee signed up for that appointment time, so let's make sure we give it to them. Also, to help identify strengths and weaknesses of the mentee, provide insight, feedback, and knowledge that support their goal achievement. Create an atmosphere where your mentee feels free to say what is on his or her mind by being supportive, not judgmental in your communication. Ask questions that help the mentee become aware of assumptions, beliefs, and attitudes that may be hindering him or her getting results. We all come to the table with a certain set of experiences that can create filters for which we see the world, and it may be an obstacle to them getting the results that they want. So helping them understand what their filters are and how they can get past that is a really important part of the mentoring process. Actively listen when in the meeting, provide guidance, help interpret events, and develop solutions to current challenges. Sometimes you may have more information about why a change is happening, and so being sure to share that information if there's some frustration around that and you're able to share. Avoid making decisions for your mentee. Assist them in making their own decisions. One of the questions I like to ask when I have a question like that is what would you do if I wasn't available by phone or email for some reason and completely unavailable? What do you think you should do? 9 times out of 10 it's going to be the right decision. And when you ask that question, instead of sharing what you would do, you help to train that mentee in making their own decisions. Leadership development is the goal of this program. So if there's a question or a concern, you can start in that operational conversation, but always work to tie it back to leadership development. For example, I'm having an issue with Fred. We continue to have this conflict, but I want to work on that. And so as the mentor, you help talk through the specifics with Fred, asking them questions, asking them how they would handle it, giving feedback on how they would handle it, leading them to the right solution. Then you take the conversation to, okay, let's talk about how it's important as a leader to be able to modify your own communication style, because you're always going to be working with different personalities. Some can be more difficult than others, and how you're going to be able to do that as a leader to ensure success of the team. Support supervision, that individual supervision, their supervisor, their program goals, foundation goals, and of course culture. So it's important that if you have a mentee that may be going off track, to be able to help bring them back in and support them to make good decisions. Be committed to that mentoring relationship, respect the individual, and honor the confidentiality of the relationship. And we'll talk a little bit more about that. If at any point you as the mentor feel you're not qualified to handle certain challenging situations or problems, refer the mentee back to the appropriate party. It may be their supervisor, it may be HR, But if at any point you feel like there's something that you need to redirect them, please do so. Mentee roles and responsibilities. So mentee role, competent professional, learner, apprentice, protege. So be professional, follow up, always be aware of, I'm the professional bringing this and driving this to the table. So again, you are the driving force for your own development. This is underlined and bold and in all caps for a reason. The mentor is directed that if you don't pick up the phone and make the phone call, they are not to call you. You are the driving force. They should not be chasing you down for your phone calls. Take responsibility for your own growth and development, including scheduling appointments and completing mentoring program documentation on schedule. Don't let it get to a point where your mentor or HR department is following up on appointments or documentation. As a leader, take ownership of your own professional and leadership development. Set clear goals and objectives and take the initiative in reaching your goals. Use your mentor to help you overcome obstacles to those goals. Be prepared for your mentoring meetings with questions and input on your specific mentoring goals. This is your meeting, your time. Be the driver, have an agenda, be on time for scheduled mentoring meetings. Mentoring meetings should be results oriented, not just a venting session. I want to say you can start by venting. Sometimes we have to get the emotion out to be able to get to a place where we can be results oriented. And we've received feedback on our mentoring program that that's something that has actually been very, very successful part of this program, that by having a place to vent with a person who knows Synacor culture, who knows the programs and can relate, it's allowed them to be able to vent this in an appropriate place versus going home and venting it maybe to a spouse or a family member who may not understand all the different complexities of the culture or your job duties, and would end up stressing them out because they feel you're not happy in your job, when really you just needed to kind of vent a little bit and get it out. But at the end of the day, you can start with venting but move to outcome, results oriented. This is where we need to go. Be open to feedback from your mentor, actively listen during meetings, ask questions, and take advantage of your mentor's expertise and experience. Be committed to the mentoring relationship, respect the individual, and honor the confidentiality of the relationship. As a mentor, they should be sharing, things that they've missed, failures that have happened to help shorten your learning curve. And so it wouldn't be respectful of that person or honoring the confidentiality if I, walked out of the office and started sharing, guess what so-and-so told me about how they failed. So again, just honor the confidentiality of the relationship. And also, don't be afraid to share. Remember the whole reverse mentoring, sharing what's working for you in your program. Those are things that you should be sharing with your mentor as well. Confidentiality. A major part of the program is to discuss issues you are having with your mentor. Their role as a mentor is to help guide you to overcome issues and obstacles to your goals. Mentors will be expected to maintain confidentiality except in the event where it presents significant legal risk to the foundation. For example, if there's an allegation of client abuse and neglect, employee discrimination, sexual harassment, those are issues that the mentors cannot maintain confidentiality because it presents legal risk to the foundation. So in that instance, if a mentor receives that information, they are to inform the mentee to notify human resources for further investigation, and the mentor informs HR as well. So both parties are required to inform HR if they have information regarding that type of legal risk to the foundation. So carryover tools from 2015. We added a few tools to the mentoring portion of the LEAD program, and those will continue. We will have a mentoring agreement that outlines some of the basic items we cover in this webinar today, along with the agreed upon schedule for the mentoring appointments. Both mentor and mentee will sign demonstrating their commitment to the mentoring relationship and to the schedule. Other tools that we will be using, the strengths-based leadership and or Hogan results. and these are to fully utilize and build on your strengths as a leader. If you are a Synacor manager, please send your Hogan and your strengths-based results to your mentor. If you've not yet taken the strengths-based assessment, please contact Stephanie Alzadi for the code to take the assessment and get a copy of the book from your facility director or department head to read. It's a short read and it's really good, and it talks about strengths-based leadership. If you are a non-manager participant in the LEAD program, please copy Stephanie Alzadi for the code to take the assessment, and again, get the copy of the book from your facility director or department head to read. The deadline for strengths-based assessment is February 17th. The results need to be scanned to your mentor and to HR. You will be responsible for selecting at least one action item every other month to work on and report back to your mentor. I'm about to show you a sample result, so that way you'll know what I'm talking about. If you and your mentor would like assistance on how to utilize this assessment or the Hogan assessment, I'm happy to schedule a conference call to walk through, and we can work through some recommendations. So this is what the assessment looked like when I took it in 2010. The format has changed a little bit, but you do still have actions that are listed for you to take to help you know how you can lead with your top strengths. So one of my top strengths was leading with input. People with the input theme always have a craving to know more, and so how do you lead with input? And so when I took this assessment, these were a couple of things that I marked off that I wanted to follow up on, and one of the things that it reminded me that I needed to do is retest. You can see where I wrote the note back in 2010, PHR/SPHR. I took a recertification course and took the test in 2011 and became recertified in SPHR. And so these are just some of the things that you can do going through and seeing what are some things that jump out at you that you see as actions that are going to help you to be a better leader. And one of the things that we like to take a look at is when you lead from your strengths, you can maximize your engagement. And this is kind of the way we look at that sweet spot, your success. In the middle, when you look at these three circles, the first one, who you really are when you tell the truth to yourself, what is really important to you in life, what is okay, what is not okay. You will not like your work, your energy will be drained, and you will not feel successful if your values are compromised at the organization where you work. The second circle, your strengths and skills. You will thrive the most when you get to use your natural strengths at work. So that's where that strengths-based leadership comes in, to help really identify some of those strengths that when you lead from them, you build positive energy, you feel great about what you're doing. If you're in a job where you don't get to use your strengths the majority of the time, you're not going to be happy. Your energy is going to be drained because you're not feeling as successful as you could. And then last but not least, the third circle, your actions and behaviors. When you know what your company truly values and you align your actions and behavior with that, that's where you create that intersection in the middle. So for Synacor, we value service to others, faith, strong work ethic and accountability, producing quality programs to assist our clients in their sobriety. So when you tune your actions to make sure you're doing those things that Synacor values, using your strength, and you're aligning with your values, that creates that sweet spot right in the middle for success. Carryover tool from 2013. This tool is for both mentors and mentees. Both parties should set up a spreadsheet to keep your own confidential notes of your conversations. This way you keep track of the topics discussed. You document takeaways from the conversations or any assignments. The purpose is to help both parties remember those important items from each mentoring session. Remember to follow up on any assignments that may have come through, articles to be read. But it's both parties need to be taking these notes, not just the mentee. So here's my following example. Back in 2013, I was mentoring a facility director. Her name was Lee Conway. We had our initial call on January 10th. On the 17th, we did her Hogan survey review. On January 31st, we reviewed her strengths-based leadership. she was going to take her documentation and come back with the next on the next mentoring session on what she wanted to work on from strengths-based leadership. We also talked about her executive presence. She wanted to do better speaking in front of others, so we talked about taking a Toastmasters class. And then she also wanted to improve some of the processes at her facility, and so we took a look at the article, What Stupid Stuff Are We Doing? And had the management team review that and walk through, and it's basically where are we spending our most time where it feels frustrating and unproductive. And then I highlighted that because when we got to our next session on February 7th, they hadn't had a chance to review yet, so I highlighted it so I would know to go back to it. And then the next, on the 7th, we talked about a few other things. And so doing this throughout the year, you can always highlight those things that maybe haven't been done yet that we want to go back to, successes. And so this just helps you, especially mentors that may have two mentees, to keep track of what's going on in each meeting, because trust me, by the time you get to September, you will not remember what you were doing back in January and February, so it's important to keep this list for both the mentor and the mentee. Update to expectations. So as much as I hate to say it, we are having an update that is perhaps will be perceived as a bit negative. As we've already stated, the expectations are for the mentee to call the mentor or to notify the mentor prior to the actual call that they need to reschedule. Unfortunately, we continue to have mentors waiting for a phone call from the mentee only to be emailed later, maybe later that day or later that week, sometime well after the scheduled appointment time, and say, sorry I missed it, can we reschedule, when the mentor was sitting there waiting on the phone call. So if a mentee has a no call, no communication prior to the scheduled call more than 3 times during the year, they will be removed from the LEAD program. Unfortunately, we have spent too much time with the mentors not receiving the appropriate communication for this to continue. We know that everyone is busy. Not everyone is sitting at a desk. Everyone gets caught up in their job duties. That's why we set a schedule and we put it on the calendar so it's blocked off and can be remembered. Part of being a leader is keeping your commitments and being held accountable when you do not keep your commitments. So that's why we're putting this into place. Again, emailing or calling even just a few minutes prior to the call, if you have something urgent that arises, that's acceptable. Those will not be counted as a no call, no communication prior to the scheduled call. So all we're asking for is communication prior to the call if you need to reschedule. Rescheduling the call is perfectly acceptable. Next steps for the mentee. Every mentee will receive the Mentoring Goals worksheet after the webinar. You follow those directions on the form, and you meet with your facility director no later than February 17th to complete. You schedule your first phone call with your mentor no later than February 3rd. During this phone call, both the mentor and the mentee will share their answers to the first meeting question set. This question set's on the next slide, and I'll send it out with the goal sheet as well. What's important is to be honest, talking about both personal and professional. While you're doing these answers, it's appropriate and necessary. And by doing so, the reason that we're scheduling this phone call prior to your goal sheet is this may help you set up the appropriate goals for your upcoming year. So your first phone call with your mentor is completed prior to finishing your goal worksheet. And here are the questions that you're going to go through. It's really just to build the relationship between the mentor and the mentee. Both parties answer. And you really go through what makes you tick, what makes you special. And that's not to brag, but we all have special skills and experience that we bring to the table that helps us excel. So we need to talk about those. Historical information. Why did you get involved in this career or field? How do you stay motivated? It can be difficult some days to stay motivated. How do you stay motivated? What frustrates you? What obstacles have you had to overcome in your career? So go through each of these questions, both mentor and mentee, and take the time on that first call to really get to know one another, and how you've gotten to the point that you are in your career. Next steps for the mentor. As a mentor, you were chosen for this participant. You were selected because of your experiences that can contribute to their growth. Sharing your experiences, your perspective is the largest part of your role as a mentor. This includes failures. This includes lessons learned. That vulnerability as a mentor is going to help your mentee grow. You share those as appropriate to the discussion, but ultimately you're focused on the mentee and their needs. The first few sessions are designed to help you understand the following about your mentee and help you as you work together. What are some of the blind spots the mentee may have about themselves? How can you assist with growing and broadening that mentee's perspective? What principles may still need to be developed? And where is your mentee's thinking or focus? And how can you help broaden this to help reach their career or personal goals? Mentees, you use the answers from this first mentoring session to gauge how you feel about the mentor-mentee relationship. If you are unsure of why this mentor was chosen for you, please contact me. Sometimes reasons for matches are not always obvious. If it just isn't a good fit, we can always reassign as per our no-fault assignment termination. After the first meeting, you'll set your recurring schedule for the appointments. 2 hours per month is the standard, and this is scheduled by both parties' preference and availability. You sign your mentoring agreement, and you send to your mentor for their signature by February 17th. Mentors sign and send to HR by February 28th, and we will have one slide with all dates here in just a minute. After all three parties have reviewed and acknowledged the mentoring goals, and that includes the supervisor and the mentor and the mentee, the form is signed and sent to HR review and your training file by February 28th. STARS 12 or FRED prior annual training passes will be purchased for all new participants effective February 1st. You will be receiving an email with your login information. You will be responsible for reviewing the training library from your assigned vendor and then scheduling time and working with your direct supervisor and facility director to put together your customized training agenda. HR can also assist if additional direction is needed. Please do not go to your meeting with your supervisor or facility director unprepared. That would be a lack of leadership. So this is your professional development. As a leader, you should be driving with the input. All training agendas will need to be submitted to HR no later than February 28th. And agendas need to be a mix of live seminars, live webinars, and archive webinars to ensure that facility staffing is coordinated appropriately. So if we have 3 lead participants at one location, they can't all 3 go to the same live seminar if that would be an obstacle for facility staffing. So there are a certain number of hours, educational hours approved for lead participants depending on which tier you're in, and that's included on the training agenda form. An important note for Tier 2 and Tier 3, it's important to understand that with Tier 2 and Tier 3 assignments, the additional compensation is tied to specific additional duties outside the normal job description being completed by the person in that tier. So they're not just being paid to grow and develop. There are additional duties that Synacor has said we will pay these dollars to whoever is in Tier 2 and Tier 3 to complete those additional duties and project. So those dollars are tied to that tier, even though it's being paid per paycheck. It doesn't become a normal part of salary. That is a one-year assignment. We want to rotate individuals through Tier 2 and Tier 3 so that way multiple leaders in the Synacor family are able to participate in development with these additional duties. So that assignment is typically for 1 year and potentially up to 2 years. Then the compensation will roll off when the person comes out of that tier. So when that year ends, the tier compensation will be transferred to someone else who will now be performing those additional duties outside their job description. We've been working to communicate this clearly and upfront, verbally, This year we felt the need to put it in as part of the webinar to help minimize any confusion or disappointment at the end of the year long program. So the LEAD program is work. It's your work on your career path and professional and leadership development with assistance and guidance from a mentor. It takes your time, your effort, your energy for your development. If after seeing this video you feel this may be too much work for you right now, please contact me and let me know before the annual training passes are purchased by the foundation. We're doing that on January 18th. Once we've done that, those are dollars spent, and there's no one to transfer those training passes to. So again, if you feel this may be too much for you with the extra work, the sessions, the mentoring sessions, the training seminars, please let me know now. You can always reapply next year if the timing is better based on your work and personal commitments for this year. So what does success look like? The mentee is the driver for scheduling, for form completion, for striving to meet goals. The final responsibility for actions taken as a result of mentoring lies with the mentee. The mentor provides effective mentoring to achieve goals, promptly acknowledges and responds to questions, requests, and form completion. Both mentor and mentee are responsible for not multitasking during your mentoring appointments. Turn off your email, put your phone on Do Not Disturb, put a note up on your door, do what you need to do to be able to be engaged during that session and not waste each other's time. The mentee at the end of the program should have an improved level of communication within the foundation, increased sense of connection specifically across facilities, increased self-awareness, and most importantly, improved leadership skills. Remember at the beginning we talked about this was done to help us improve the leadership skills within our current Centercore family members, so that way we can continue to grow the foundation and meet our goals with our clients. The mentee should have clarity of their role for the foundation and an improved understanding of other job roles and opportunities that they may have as a career path. Both the mentee and mentor should grow from the experience, learn more about other programs and other locations in the facility or across the foundation, and prepare them for additional leadership and career opportunities. The program was implemented to achieve results, always with our mission of service to our clients as the end result for our goals. Review of deadlines. Today, set up your mentor-mentee tracking spreadsheet. You can do it in an Excel spreadsheet, you can do it in a Word document, you can do it on a spiral notepad. As long as you have some way of documenting what you're talking about in every single mentoring session, so you can go back and review, because you will not remember by year end, and so that is important to have to demonstrate progress with your program. Additionally, email Stephanie Alzadi once you've completed this webinar and request your lead documents. If you do not watch the webinar and you do not request your lead documents, you will not receive them. So you will not be able to move forward with the lead program. So mentees, be sure you send the email to Stephanie Alzadi letting her know you've completed the webinar and you're requesting your lead documents. By February 3rd, have your first mentoring phone call by this date. Do the first meeting question set with each other. Both mentor and mentee answer those questions. By February 17th, review your developmental goal worksheet and the appropriate training library with your supervisor and facility director. Finalize your goals in your first 3 months of training. You should have already had your first call with your mentor and have input into this goal sheet. Then you scan your goal sheet, mentoring agreement, and training agenda to your mentor for review during your next mentoring call. By February 28th, scan the results of strengths-based leadership and assessment to HR, your supervisor, and mentor. If you are a manager and have taken the Hogan, scan those results to your mentor as well. And last but not least, by February 28th, have your developmental goal worksheet, your first 3 months training agenda, and signed mentoring agreement all turned into HR. So thank you for your time today. I appreciate it. Looking forward to everything that we have in store for this program for the 2017 year. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to email or call. I'll be happy to assist. Thank you so much. Have a great day.